The dinner party was supposed to start at 6. By 5:30, Mom was in crisis mode, rearranging flowers and inspecting wine glasses. Sarah, I need you to pass appetizers when people arrive. Carry the tray, smile, offer drinks. I was sitting on her couch with my daughter Emma in my arms. Emma was 18 months old and had been running a fever since morning. It started at 99 degrees. Now it was 102. Mom, I need to take Emma home. Her fever is getting worse. It's just a fever. Babies get fevers. Give her medicine and she'll be fine. I did. It's not working. I think I need urgent care. Mom stopped fussing with the centerpiece. Sarah, I have 12 people coming in 30 minutes. I need your help. Take her to the doctor tomorrow if she's still sick. She's sick now. She's burning up. Put a cold washcloth on her forehead. She's fine. My friends are coming over, important people, and I need this evening to be perfect. Emma whimpered in my arms, her little body radiating heat. Her cheeks were flushed red, her eyes glazed. She'd barely eaten all day, hadn't wanted her bottle, just clung to me and cried. Mom, I really think. Stop. I don't want to hear it. I've been planning this dinner for 3 weeks. You agreed to help. Now either help me or leave. But if you leave, don't bother coming back for a while. I'm tired of you always making everything about you and your problems. I felt something crack inside my chest. Emma wasn't a problem. She was a sick baby who needed medical attention. But Mom had a way of making you doubt yourself, making you feel selfish for having needs. Just for an hour, Mom said, her voice softening into what she probably thought was reasonable. Help me get through the dinner service, then you can leave. 1 hour. Surely you can manage that for your mother. Emma's fever felt like it was getting higher. I touched her forehead, and she was so hot it scared me. Okay, I heard myself say, 1 hour. The guests started arriving at 6. Mom's book club friends, women wearing expensive jewelry. They cooed over Emma for 30 seconds before losing interest. Sarah will put her down upstairs, Mom announced. Sarah, guest room, then come help serve. I carried Emma upstairs. The room was cold, the air conditioning too high. Emma shivered despite her fever. I wrapped her in a blanket and laid her on the bed. Mama will be right back, I whispered. She started crying when I walked toward the door, not her normal cry, but weak and pathetic. I went back downstairs. Mom handed me a tray of bruschetta. Start with these, and smile. I circulated through the living room. Emma's crying got louder. One of the guests noticed. Is that a baby crying? Mom laughed. Oh, Sarah's daughter is fussy tonight. Sarah, could you check on her? Quietly? I went upstairs. Emma had thrown up on the blanket. Her fever had climbed even higher. I touched her. She was scorching, her little body shaking. This wasn't a normal fever. This was dangerous. I picked her up and brought her downstairs. Mom's face went tight when she saw me enter the dining room. Sarah, what are you doing? She threw up. Her fever is really high. I need to take her to the hospital. The hospital? Don't be ridiculous. It's just a stomach bug. Mom, she's burning up. This isn't normal. Sarah, stop embarrassing me. Mom's voice was low, controlled, but with an edge that could cut glass. My guests don't want to hear about vomit and fevers. Take her back upstairs, clean her up, and let the adults finish their dinner. I stood there, holding my sick baby, while 12 women stared at me. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked annoyed, like I was ruining their evening with my sick child's needs. I'm taking her to the emergency room, I said. If you walk out that door, you're being incredibly selfish. I asked for one evening, one simple evening of help, and you can't even give me that. You always have to make everything a crisis. Emma was limp in my arms now, her crying reduced to weak whimpers. I looked at my mother, this woman who cared more about appearances than her own grandchild's health, and something broke free inside me. I'm leaving. Fine, leave, but don't expect me to forgive this. Don't expect to come crawling back when you need help with babysitting or money or anything else. You made your choice. I walked out. At the emergency room, they took Emma immediately. Her temperature was 104.7. She had a severe ear infection that had gone septic. They started IV antibiotics and admitted her overnight for observation. The ER doctor, an older woman with kind eyes, sat down with me at 2 in the morning while Emma slept hooked up to monitors. You did the right thing bringing her in. Another few hours and this could have been much more serious. Fevers this high in babies can cause seizures, even brain damage. You got her here in time. I started crying then, all the fear and anger and guilt pouring out. I'd waited too long. I'd served appetizers and cleared plates while my baby got sicker. I'd let my mother convince me that her dinner party mattered more than my daughter's health. I should have brought her in earlier, I sobbed. You brought her when you needed to. That's what matters. But it did matter. Those 2 hours mattered. Emma could have had a seizure, could have suffered permanent damage, because I was too afraid to stand up to my mother. Emma recovered. The antibiotics worked, her fever broke, and we went home after 2 days. But something in me had changed. I saw clearly what I'd been too afraid to admit. My mother would never put anyone's needs above her own appearance, not mine, not her grandchild's, not anyone's. I didn't call her. She didn't call me. 3 weeks later, she sent a text. I'd assume you're done with your tantrum. Lunch at the club Saturday if you want to apologize. I blocked her number. That was 6 years ago. 6 years of birthdays and holidays without grandma. 6 years of Emma growing from a toddler to a 7-year-old who barely remembered her grandmother existed. 6 years of building a life where I didn't second-guess every decision because someone was telling me I was overdramatic. I remarried. Daniel was kind, steady, the opposite of my mother's chaos. We had another baby, Lucas, now 3. Emma excelled in school. Lucas was happy and healthy. We had friends, routines, peace. Then yesterday my aunt called. Your mother wants to see you. She's asking about the grandchildren. No. Sarah, she's 70 now. She's alone. Your father passed last year. She has no one. I'd gone to Dad's funeral, sat in the back, and left before the reception. I hadn't spoken to Mom. She made her choices. She's your mother, and she's getting older. Don't you think the children deserve to know their grandmother? The grandmother who called my sick baby embarrassing? Who told me I was selfish for taking her to the emergency room? People change. She's different now, softer. She talks about you and Emma constantly. She has pictures of Emma on her phone from your old Facebook page. She doesn't have pictures of Lucas because I blocked her everywhere. Please, Sarah, just think about it. She's asking to see them. Just a short visit. She's old and alone and sorry. Did she say she's sorry? Silence. She's implied it. That's not the same thing. But the conversation planted a seed. Not guilt, exactly. More like curiosity. What did my mother want? What would she say after 6 years? I talked to Daniel that evening. He listened, then said what he always said. It's your decision. I'll support whatever you choose. But I won't let her hurt you or the kids. So I called my aunt back. 1 visit. Public place. 1 hour. She doesn't get their phone numbers or addresses. This is it. We met at a park the following Saturday. I brought Emma and Lucas. Mom was waiting on a bench, and I barely recognized her. She'd aged dramatically, thinner, grayer, smaller somehow. She stood when she saw us, her hands clasped in front of her, like she didn't know what to do with them. Sarah, her voice cracked. You came. 1 hour. That's what you get. She looked at Emma, who hung back behind me, suspicious of this stranger. You're so big now, so beautiful. You look just like your mother did at that age. Emma said nothing. She didn't know this woman, had no memories of her. Then Mom saw Lucas. Her eyes filled with tears. I have a grandson. I didn't know. No one told me. You would have known if you hadn't prioritized a dinner party over your grandchild's health 6 years ago. Sarah, she stopped, took a breath, seemed to steady herself. I was wrong. That night, I was so wrong. What night? I wanted her to say it, to actually acknowledge what she'd done. The dinner party. When Emma was sick, I should have helped you get her to the hospital. I should have canceled the whole thing. I was wrong. It was the first time in my life I'd heard her admit fault without qualifying it, without making excuses. She had a 104.7 fever, a septic ear infection. She was admitted for 2 days. The doctor said if I'd waited longer, she could have had seizures. Brain damage. Mom's face crumpled. I didn't know it was that serious. You didn't want to know. You cared more about what your friends thought than whether your grandchild was safe. I did. I was vain and selfish, and I lost 6 years with you because of it. I lost watching Emma grow up. I lost meeting Lucas. I lost everything that matters. Emma tugged on my sleeve. Mommy, can we go play on the swings? I nodded. Both kids ran off toward the playground. Mom watched them go, tears streaming down her face. I live alone now, she said quietly. The house is too big, too quiet. I see my friends sometimes, but they're not family. I thought I needed those people, needed their approval, but they weren't there when your father died. They weren't there when I got diagnosed with arthritis and couldn't open jars. They weren't there for anything real. I would have been there. If you let me. I know. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry I made you feel small. I'm sorry I prioritized the wrong things. I'm sorry I almost cost Emma her health. I'm sorry for all of it. I watched my children play. Emma was pushing Lucas on the swings, both of them laughing. They were happy, healthy, safe. I'd built that for them, by removing toxic influence from their lives. I don't know if I can let you back in, I said. I don't know if that's safe for them. You taught me that family can hurt you worse than strangers, that the people who should protect you will sacrifice you for appearances. I won't let my kids learn that. I understand. I wouldn't trust me either. Then why am I here? Because I wanted you to see that I know what I lost. I wanted to tell you that you were right and I was wrong. I wanted to say I'm sorry, even if it doesn't change anything. She wiped her eyes, and I wanted to see them, just once. To know they exist, that they're beautiful, and that you're a wonderful mother despite having such a terrible example. We sat in silence for a while, watching Emma and Lucas play. I'm not ready for visits, I finally said. I'm not ready to bring them to your house or have you come to mine, but maybe we could do this again, same park, same arrangement, once a month, and we'll see. Really? Hope flickered in her eyes. On conditions, you acknowledge what you did was wrong. You don't make excuses. You don't guilt trip me or them. You don't get to complain about being lonely or play the victim. And if you ever prioritize anything over their well-being, we're done. Forever. I accept. All of it. Thank you, Sarah. The hour ended. I called the kids back. Emma waved politely to the stranger on the bench. Lucas ignored her completely, more interested in the rocks he collected. As we walked to the car, Emma asked, "Is that really Grandma?" Yes, she looks sad. She is sad. Why? Because she made bad choices and lost the people she loved. And now she's trying to fix it, but some things can't be completely fixed. They just become different. Emma thought about this. Are we going to see her again? Maybe. Once a month, if she keeps being sorry. Okay. That evening, after the kids were in bed, Daniel asked how it went. She apologized. Actually apologized. Without excuses. How do you feel? I don't know. Angry still. But maybe less. She's old and alone because she chose appearances over people. That's her karma. But I'm not going to let my kids suffer from her mistakes or mine. So monthly park visits? For now, supervised, controlled, and if she slips back into her old patterns, we're gone. He nodded. You're doing the right thing. Whatever you decide is the right thing. I thought about Emma at 18 months, burning with fever while I served bruschetta. I thought about the ER doctor's words. Another few hours could have been much worse. I thought about 6 years of peace, of building a life without criticism and manipulation. My mother begged to see her grandchildren because she finally understood what she'd lost. But understanding didn't erase what she'd done. Apologies didn't rewind time. I'd give her 1 hour a month in a public park. Let her see them grow up from a distance. Let her know they existed, were loved, and were safe. But I'd never give her the power to hurt them the way she'd hurt me. Never let her teach them that appearances matter more than health, that social events trump safety, that family means tolerating abuse. She could be sorry from a distance, and maybe, over time, that distance would shrink. Or maybe it wouldn't. Either way, my children would grow up knowing they came first. Always. Hey, everyone, I'm Jennifer. My parents came to America with nothing but $200 and big dreams. My dad worked 2 jobs, and my mom cleaned houses, saving every penny they could. Always keep your own money, baby girl. Dad told me when I got my first paper route at 12. Independence is freedom. In the old country, women without their own money had no choices. Those words shaped my life. Through high school, I worked every summer instead of vacationing. During college, I juggled scholarships and part-time jobs. By 25, I had my corner office at Goldman Sachs. That's where I met David. Your market analysis is impressive, he said, actually looking at my presentation, not just my face. Most people wouldn't have caught that pattern. He was different from the usual trust fund crowd. I respected his genuine interest in my work and my independence. Our wedding was perfect until his sister Elizabeth cornered me at the reception. Separate bank accounts? How modern, she said with thinly veiled sarcasm. In our family, we share everything. Right, Daddy? Peter, my father-in-law, nodded sagely. Family money should stay in the family. These independent arrangements can lead to trust issues. Easy for her to say. Elizabeth's career was a series of failed fashion blogs bankrolled by her parents. At 32, she was still living in their Manhattan apartment, finding herself. Every Sunday dinner, my mother-in-law Lisa would ask, "Don't you trust David with money?" In her day, wives simply trusted their husbands. But for me, it wasn't about trust. It was about maintaining the independence we both valued. My cousin Margaret saw through their pretense. They hate that you don't need their money, she told me. An independent woman is their worst nightmare. David always defended me. Jennifer earned everything she has, and I love that about her. I thought we'd reached an understanding. But one day, I came home early with a migraine, only to hear Elizabeth's voice drifting from my home office. "It has to be here somewhere." I found her rifling through my desk drawers, clutching my investment statements. "Oh, you startled me," she stammered. "Just looking for a pen." In my locked desk drawer, her excuses couldn't hide her intentions. This was more than nosiness. This was about control, about a family desperate to rein me in. Looking back, I realized that was just the beginning. At the next family dinner, Elizabeth smirked and made her move. "I spoke to our family financial advisor," she announced. "Joining the family investment pool would be perfect for Jennifer." Lisa chimed in, "Wonderful idea. All the family money in one place." I replied, "I'm comfortable with my current investments, thank you." Elizabeth's tone turned saccharine. "Unless you don't trust us." David squeezed my hand under the table. "Our arrangement works for us." But Peter put down his wine glass hard. Separate finances often mean someone's planning an exit strategy. The room fell silent as David stood, face flushed. "Enough, Dad." The tension simmered until Elizabeth orchestrated her next move at the country club. "We're all investing in a vacation property in Aspen. You and David must join us." When I politely declined, she leaned in with a sweet smile. "Like your secret accounts, I mean independent accounts." Rumors spread fast. Margaret warned me, "Elizabeth's been asking around about your salary, bonuses, everything." I could feel the pressure mounting, but I was done playing their game. At Peter's birthday dinner, Elizabeth clinked her glass for a toast. To family unity. Well, almost unity. Some of us still keep secrets. I stood up, steady and calm. "Exactly what are you implying?" Elizabeth shrugged, her voice honeyed. "Just that true family doesn't need separate accounts, right?" Lisa nodded. "It does make people wonder about your commitment, dear." David's fist hit the table. "Stop it, all of you." Peter's voice tried to sound soothing as he broke the tense silence at the dinner table. "We're just concerned, Jennifer," he said. "When my friends hear about your arrangement." I let out a small laugh. "Your friends? You mean the country club gossips who funded Elizabeth's 3 failed businesses?" Elizabeth's face flushed red. "At least I can rely on family," she spat. "No," I replied coolly, "you mooch off family." "There's a difference." The room erupted, but amidst the chaos, something finally became clear. This wasn't just about bank accounts. It was about control. A family unwilling to accept a woman they couldn't buy or manipulate. The midnight phone call from my cousin Margaret confirmed my suspicions. Her voice was urgent. "Jennifer, I just overheard something at the country club. Elizabeth's husband is filing for divorce. He's frozen all their joint accounts." My heart raced. What happened? "She's been forging his signature on business checks, racking up credit card debt he never knew about. We're talking hundreds of thousands in hidden debt." Now it all makes sense. The obsession with your finances, the relentless attacks on your independence. A drowning person will grab at anything to stay afloat. The next morning, Lisa came to my office looking older and more fragile than I'd ever seen her. "I need to confess something, Jennifer." Her voice trembled. "When I married Peter, I owned 3 successful boutiques. He convinced me to sign them over, said separate finances meant I didn't trust him." She looked down at her hands, her wedding ring glinting in the light. "Now, I can't buy groceries without asking for permission. Watching you stand your ground, I realized what I lost." Is that why Elizabeth's been so hostile? I asked gently. I'm everything she failed to become: independent, respected, successful on my own terms. And it's eating her alive. David came home that evening with the full story. Remember the Aspen investment Elizabeth kept pushing? It was a desperate attempt to get Dad's money to cover her debts. I felt a pang of sympathy, but also a sense of resolve. This wasn't going to be easy. And I was right. At the next Sunday dinner, Elizabeth stormed in, wearing designer sunglasses indoors. A familiar attempt to hide her distress. She threw a sharp glare my way. Must be nice, being so perfect. Separate accounts, a big career, everyone's respect. This isn't about me, Elizabeth, I replied calmly. Of course it's about you, Miss Independent, looking down on everyone who needs help. There's a difference between needing help and refusing to help yourself, I shot back. Lisa surprisingly backed me up. She's right. I taught you that dependency was normal, Elizabeth. I was wrong. Mom, you're betraying me for her? No, Elizabeth. I'm finally telling the truth. Look at what financial dependency did to both of us. David stood up, finally seeing the full picture. You tried to destroy my marriage because you couldn't handle Jennifer's success. That's what this whole separate accounts drama was really about. Elizabeth's carefully constructed world began to crumble. The luxury lifestyle, the facade of having it all, vanished in an instant, and somehow, she decided I was to blame. That night, I started documenting everything. The accusations, the financial secrets, the confrontations, not for revenge, but for protection. A woman who's lost everything can be unpredictable, and Elizabeth was becoming desperate. Looking across the dinner table, I saw her smudged designer mascara and trembling hands. I realized this wasn't over. She'd lost her marriage, her credit cards, and her reputation. In her mind, the only thing left to take was my happiness. Elizabeth's divorce became final on a rainy Tuesday. She showed up at her parents' mansion with 12 designer suitcases, tears perfectly timed for maximum sympathy. He took everything, she whimpered. Our accounts, the house, even my car. You mean his accounts, his house, and his car, David corrected. Maybe it's time you learned the difference. Her first job interview in 15 years was a disaster, as Lisa confided to me over lunch. She couldn't even explain what she's been doing all these years. Professional shopper isn't exactly a career skill. How's she handling living with you and Peter? I asked. Terribly. She's never followed a budget in her life. Yesterday, she cried because Peter wouldn't let her charge a $500 handbag. Family dynamics shifted dramatically at Sunday dinners. Peter started asking my advice on investments, and Lisa opened her own bank account for the first time in 40 years. I should have done this decades ago, she admitted. Watching you stand your ground gave me courage. Elizabeth, of course, was furious. So now everyone's following Jennifer's independent woman act. What happened to family unity? Unity doesn't mean dependency, David replied sharply. Look where your version of unity got you, divorced and broke at 33. Elizabeth tried different tactics. First came the tearful apology. I was just scared and jealous. Can't we start over? Then the guilt trips. Family should forgive family, unless you're too good for us now. Finally, the threats. I'll tell everyone you forced me into this situation, that you turned my family against me. A year later, the tables had fully turned. The same voices at the country club that once whispered about my separate accounts now praised my foresight. My career continued to soar, and I'd made partner at the firm. Inspired by my journey, I started a mentorship program for young women in finance. Financial independence isn't just about money, I told my first group. It's about having choices. David supported me through every step, proud to have a wife who'd fought for her principles. You showed my whole family what real partnership looks like, he said. Elizabeth, on the other hand, was still living with her parents, working part-time at a boutique she used to shop at. Last week, she reached out, trying one last time to manipulate me. I've changed, she claimed. I'm learning about financial responsibility. Can't you guide me? I sent back a simple response. Some lessons cost more than money. Now Lisa calls me regularly, seeking financial advice and building her own investment portfolio. She's rediscovering her business skills, a piece of herself she thought she'd lost forever. You didn't just save your independence, she told me once. You showed us all what we'd given up. Even Peter admitted his mistake. I wanted control over the family through money, he confessed. All I did was chain them. 3 of David's cousins opened separate accounts after seeing our example. Elizabeth's situation became a cautionary tale in the family, a reminder that dependency isn't love. It's a chain. Recently, I received an invitation to speak at a women's finance conference on maintaining independence in marriage. The irony wasn't lost on me. The very thing Elizabeth had tried to shame me for had become my platform for helping others. In my office, David had framed my first partner nameplate and hung it next to a photo of my immigrant parents. They taught me that true security comes from within, not from someone else's bank account. And while Elizabeth still glares at me during family events, her power over me is gone. She tried to undermine my boundaries, but in the end became the perfect example of why those boundaries mattered. When it comes to choosing between family harmony and financial independence, what would you pick? When Elizabeth tried to shame me for maintaining separate accounts, should I have given in to keep the peace, or was standing firm the right choice? And perhaps the hardest question of all, was Lisa's regret over giving up her financial independence a warning sign we should all consider? 3 years ago, I married David Wilson, thinking I found my happily ever after. Instead, I ended up in a mansion that felt more like a prison, surrounded by my husband's controlling family. Let me paint you a picture of my daily life. Every morning, Nancy, my mother-in-law, would greet me with her sugary sweet tone, dripping with condescension. "Karen, darling, where are you going dressed like that?" she'd ask. "To work, as usual," I'd reply, already bracing myself for her next demand. "Don't forget to transfer your paycheck to the family account," she'd remind me, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. "We need to manage our resources together." At first, I went along with it, eager to fit in, to be part of the family. But soon, I felt the walls closing in. So I started secretly keeping a portion of my earnings. I had to, something didn't feel right. David began monitoring my every move, checking my phone records under the guise of concern. "Who were you talking to for so long?" he'd ask, his eyes narrowing. "Just Sarah from work," I'd lie, discussing a project. "Mother thinks you spend too much time on your phone," he'd warn. "Maybe we should switch to a basic plan." Even my sister-in-law, Jessica, made things worse with her constant prying. "David, did you know Karen bought coffee 3 times this week? So wasteful," she'd tattle like a schoolyard snitch. Robert, my father-in-law, played the role of the reasonable one, but he was no different. "We believe in pooling our resources, Karen," he'd say. "Individual spending leads to family discord." I was losing myself in their world of control. One day, I managed to call my brother, Michael, from the bathroom with the shower running to muffle the sound. "Sis, this isn't normal. You need to get out," he urged. "I'm trying," I whispered. "I've been saving up, but it's not easy." "This isn't love, Karen. It's abuse." David wasn't always like this, but Nancy had poisoned him against me. Last night, he came to me with a chilling request. "Baby, Mom thinks we should have access to each other's emails. You don't have anything to hide, right?" "What about privacy, David?" I challenged him. "Of course I trust you, but family transparency is important," he insisted. "Mother says." "What about what I think?" I snapped. "Or does only your mother's opinion matter now?" He glared at me, his face hardening into someone I barely recognized. Now, as I write this, I'm preparing for another secret meeting with Sarah. She's the only friend I have left, the only one they haven't managed to scare away. My hidden savings are growing, tucked away in a place they'll never think to look. But one wrong move and everything could fall apart. My name is Karen Wilson, and this is my story of survival in the golden cage of the Wilson family mansion. But my secret didn't stay hidden for long. "What's this, Karen?" Jessica's shrill voice pierced the air as she barged into the living room, waving my savings book like a trophy. My heart stopped. She'd found my stash. "Sneaking money away from the family, are we?" she sneered. "Mother, Father, David, come quick." Within seconds, I was surrounded. Nancy's face turned an alarming shade of red. "You ungrateful little snake. After everything we've done for you," she hissed. "What I earn is mine." I tried to stand my ground, but my voice trembled. "I have the right to save my own money." "David, darling," Nancy cooed, turning to my husband, her tone softening into something far more sinister. "Remember those late nights she's been working? Those meetings with her coworker, Sarah? Now we know why." "That's not true," I protested, but David's face had already darkened. "And there's more," Jessica added, her eyes gleaming. I saw messages on her phone with some guy named Michael. Michael is my brother. I screamed, but Robert stepped forward, his facade of calm chattering. Enough, he commanded. We can't trust her. She needs time to reflect on her actions. Before I could react, they seized me. David just stood there, watching, his eyes cold and distant, as they dragged me up the stairs to the guest room. David, please, I begged, tears streaming down my face. Don't let them do this. Karen, he said flatly, this is for your own good. The door slammed shut, and I heard the lock click. Nancy's voice was the last thing I heard before the silence swallowed me. Your phone and laptop will stay with us, she taunted. Maybe some time alone will help you understand family loyalty. Days passed in that suffocating room. Desperate, I searched every corner for something, anything that could help me escape. In an old desk drawer, I found a stack of documents. As I read through them, my hands started to shake. They were incriminating files, fraudulent investments, charity records doctored by Nancy, evidence of systematic embezzlement. They weren't just controlling, they were criminals. Through the thin walls, I overheard them plotting. She's been in there 5 days now, Mother. David's voice was muffled but clear. Do you want to lose her like we lost your first wife? Nancy reminded him. Karen is showing the same signs. We can't trust her. You're right, Mother, he agreed. We'll keep her under control. I slumped against the wall, realizing the nightmare I was truly trapped in. My husband wasn't just complicit, he was one of them. But they hadn't taken everything. They didn't know about the old phone I hid in, a lifeline tucked away in my pillowcase. Sarah would notice my absence. Michael would worry when I didn't call. I just had to wait, document everything I heard, and stay strong. They thought they were breaking me, but instead, they'd given me the ammunition I needed to break them. In the guest room, I found an old lamp and remembered a trick from my college electronics class. Stripping the wires carefully, I managed to make a makeshift charger for my hidden phone. The moment it powered on, I saw dozens of missed calls from Sarah and Michael. I quickly texted Sarah. Locked in Wilson guest room. Need help. Call Michael. While waiting, I photographed every incriminating document I could find. Investment fraud papers, charity bank statements, loan documents. Each image went straight to my email. Downstairs, their voices drifted up to me. Those loan applications under Karen's name cleared. Good work, David. I heard Robert say, casual as anything. Thanks, Dad, David replied. My hands shook as I realized the truth. My own husband had stolen my identity. Jessica, darling, how are those credit cards working out? Nancy asked. Great, Mother. Karen's name is on all of them. If anything goes wrong, she'll take the fall. Jessica laughed. Then I heard sirens in the distance. Heavy footsteps echoed on the porch. Police were responding to a welfare check. Chaos erupted downstairs as I banged on the door. Up here, I'm locked in. The door burst open. Michael rushed in, followed by 2 officers. Karen, thank God. Nancy appeared, all innocence. Officers, this is a family matter. Our daughter-in-law has been unwell. Save it. I cut her off. I've been held prisoner for a week. David pushed through, desperation in his eyes. Baby, please, we were only trying to protect you. Protect me while stealing my identity. I asked, my voice trembling with rage. Jessica turned pale. What's she talking about? I faced them all. The business loans, the credit cards, the charity fraud. I know everything. The officers glanced at me, interested. Ma'am, would you like to press charges? I met David's pleading eyes. 7 days ago, I might have wavered, but not anymore. Not yet. But I want a restraining order against all of them. Michael helped me pack under the officer's supervision. Nancy's face twisted with anger. You ungrateful little. Choose your next words carefully, Michael warned. In the car, reality hit. I was free, my phone buzzed, David's name lighting up the screen. Karen, please, I love you. Mother made me do it. Did she make you steal my identity too? I replied. I'll change. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out. Divorce papers are next. At Michael's apartment, I finally broke down. They took everything from me. No, sis, he reassured me. You're alive, you're smart, and you have evidence of their crimes. You won. The next few days brought desperate attempts at reconciliation. Flowers, messages, promises. Karen, please, David begged outside Michael's building. Mother was wrong. I was wrong. I'll leave them. We can start fresh. You had your chance, I replied, unmoved. Jessica tried next. We're family, Karen. Families forgive each other. Family doesn't steal your identity and use your name for fraud. That's not family. Even Nancy showed up, all tears and regret. Darling, we were just afraid of losing you. So you locked me up. Perfect logic. I said, then blocked their numbers and deleted their messages. Michael helped me find a lawyer. In my new apartment, surrounded by the evidence on my laptop, I felt a new strength rising in me. The scared, compliant Karen was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone ready for justice. 6 months after my escape, I sat in my new corner office, watching everything unfold. The anonymous tip I'd sent to the FBI about Robert's investment fraud had started an avalanche. Breaking news: Wilson Family Charity under federal investigation for massive embezzlement scheme. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Gee, they're arresting Jessica right now for credit card fraud. I smiled, remembering the evidence I'd leaked through untraceable channels. The house of cards was falling. Minutes later, Michael called. Did you see the news? David just got picked up for identity theft. Those business loans in your name came back to bite him. Karma's got perfect timing, I replied. Watching the news, I saw Nancy Wilson walking out of the federal courthouse, head down, looking defeated. Headlines blared. Wilson Family Charitable Foundation misappropriated millions, and Wilson family's fall from grace. A legacy of lies. My own life was unrecognizable from a year ago. My marketing firm was thriving. Turns out, a week in a locked room offers plenty of time to envision a future. I'd signed 3 major clients this month alone. You've come so far, Sarah said over lunch. Remember how scared you were? Now, every Tuesday night, I ran support groups for financial abuse survivors. The news anchor's voice broke through our conversation. Robert Wilson sentenced to 15 years for investment fraud, he announced. Just then, my office phone rang, displaying a blocked number. Out of curiosity, I answered. Karen, please. Nancy's voice cracked with desperation. They're taking everything. Our house, our accounts. Funny how karma works, doesn't it? I replied. We're your family, she pleaded. No, you were my prison. Goodbye, Nancy. I hung up. I turned back to the TV just as David was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. This is what you get for identity theft and loan fraud, I muttered. My assistant poked her head in. Your 3 o'clock is here, she said. Send her in, I replied, as a nervous woman stepped inside, her eyes wide and fearful, a mirror of my own face a year ago. You're safe here, I assured her. I know exactly what you're going through. My phone buzzed with a message from yet another unknown number. Jessica again. The cops are saying 10 years minimum. Please, Karen, help. Delete. Block. The TV droned on. Wilson family business files for bankruptcy amid federal investigations. I glanced around my office, walls lined with awards, a thriving business, and most importantly, freedom. They had tried to break me, but all they managed was to destroy themselves. My brother's words echoed in my mind. You didn't just survive, sis. You thrived. I looked out my window at the endless stretch of cityscape, my heart brimming with possibility. The divorce papers lay ready to be signed. I had no forgiveness left for them. Let them rot in their cells, drowned in debt, and watch their precious reputations dissolve. The news ticker scrolled with one final headline. Wilson family empire crumbles. A tale of fraud, abuse, and justice. I turned off the TV, ready for my next appointment. Someone else needed to learn what I now knew. The best revenge isn't just surviving, it's succeeding. What would you do if you discovered your spouse not only imprisoned you but also stole your identity for criminal activities? Would you expose their crimes right away, or would you strategically gather evidence while appearing broken? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hi everyone, I'm Pamela Collins, a 32-year-old interior designer based in Chicago, known for my modern minimalist designs. I first met him at a luxury property showing. Mark Anderson, with his perfect smile and tailored suits, was everything I thought I wanted. He was a successful real estate developer who could charm anyone in the room. I've never felt this way about anyone before. Pamela, you're different from all the rest, he would say, melting my heart during our whirlwind 6-month romance. God, I was so naive. The red flags were there from day one after our wedding, but love truly makes you blind. His ex-wife, Margaret, was always around, always had some emergency that needed Mark's immediate attention. Baby, she's just going through a rough time. You know how messy divorces can be, he'd reassure me every single time he rushed to her aid. Pamela, darling, that centerpiece arrangement is interesting. Margaret always had such an eye for these things. My mother-in-law, Amanda, quipped during our first family dinner, never missing a chance to compare me to Margaret, always with that fake smile plastered on her face. Don't take it personally, Rachel, Mark's sister, would say. Mom's just old-fashioned. Later, I would learn Rachel had been feeding Margaret information about every aspect of my life. Thank God for my best friend, Megan. Something's not adding up, Pamela. The way they operate, it's like a well-oiled machine designed to break you down. Megan, being a private investigator, noticed things others missed. Mark still has joint accounts with Margaret. That's not normal for divorced couples, she pointed out, her words echoing in my head when I discovered their shared credit cards. Family gatherings were the worst. Amanda would host these elaborate dinners where Margaret was always invited. She's still family, they'd say. I'd sit there, watching them share inside jokes and memories, while I felt like an outsider. Margaret was just telling me about the charity gala she's organizing. Pamela, dear, what have you been up to, besides decorating? Amanda's subtle digs became more frequent. Then I met Marcus at a business event. You're Mark's new wife. Interesting. Margaret never mentioned he was officially divorced. The look in his eyes told me there was more to the story. The emergencies with Margaret became more frequent. Her car broke down, she needed help with paperwork, she was feeling down and needed support. Pamela, you need to be more understanding. Margaret's been part of this family for 10 years, Mark would say, making me feel like I was the problem. But little did they know, I was starting to see through their perfect facade. Megan was gathering information, and I was keeping detailed records of every incident, every manipulation, every lie. They thought they had me cornered, playing the role of the naive new wife, but they had no idea what was coming. Could you bring us some more tea, sweetie? Amanda's voice dripped with fake sweetness. I walked into the living room, tea tray in hand, and froze. There was Margaret, standing in my wedding dress. The one I'd worn just 8 months ago, posing for the annual family photos. What the hell is going on? My hands shook as I set down the tray. Oh, Pamela, don't make a scene. It's a family tradition, Mark interjected in that condescending tone I had grown to hate. The Anderson women always wear this dress for the spring photo shoot. Family tradition. This is my wedding dress. I bought it with my own money. You're being hysterical, Amanda chimed in. Margaret wore it last year, and Rachel the year before that. Last year? You weren't even divorced then. The room went silent. Rachel quickly grabbed her phone, probably texting Margaret updates about my meltdown. That night, I couldn't sleep. While Mark was showering, I checked our joint accounts. Something wasn't adding up. $5,000 to VA Interior Consulting every month. Margaret didn't even work in interior design. Hey Em, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Megan's voice was concerned when I met her for coffee the next day. I need you to look into something. Mark has been making regular payments to a company I've never heard of. Already on it. And Pamela, there's something else. His business dealings are sketchy. Like really sketchy. That evening, Mark's phone buzzed while he was in the shower. A message from Margaret popped up. Miss you, baby. Thanks for handling the dress situation. Your wife's face was priceless. My hands trembled as I scrolled through their conversation. Dinner dates, hotel meetings, joint bank accounts. Pamela, huh? You seem stressed lately. Perhaps this business of yours is too much to handle. Amanda's comment at Sunday dinner made Rachel snicker. I'm just worried about her, Rachel said later, hugging me. You know you can tell me anything. The same Rachel who had been forwarding my private texts to Margaret. I discovered credit card statements in Mark's office, Margaret's shopping sprees, spa treatments, even her rent, all paid for by my husband. Marriage is about trust, Pamela. Why are you going through my things? Mark caught me with the statements. Trust? Like paying your ex-wife's bills behind my back. She's going through a rough patch. You're making something out of nothing. Nothing. Like the hotel charges on your card when you were supposedly at business meetings. You're paranoid. This is exactly what happened with your last relationship. You always create problems where there aren't any. He was trying to make me doubt myself. But I wasn't that naive anymore. I've been documenting everything, the secret payments, the manipulative texts, the gaslighting. You should be grateful, Amanda said at yet another family dinner. Mark is such a caring man, helping Margaret through hard times. Most wives would appreciate such compassion. I smiled and played along, letting them think they were winning. But with every revelation, with every lie exposed, their perfect little world was on the brink of collapse. Megan's investigation was uncovering more dirt than I had ever imagined. They had no idea what was coming. You're not going to believe what I found, Megan said, spreading documents across her office desk. Those luxury developments Mark brags about. They're all shell companies. He's been taking investors' money and funneling it through fake construction projects. My hands trembled as I sifted through the paperwork, bank statements, wire transfers, fake contracts, all pointing to millions in fraud. But wait, there's more. Megan continued, pulling out another file. I found their divorce records, or should I say, the lack thereof. Pamela, Mark, and Margaret never legally divorced. Their paperwork was never filed. The room started spinning. So my marriage is technically invalid? They're still legally married. A sudden knock at the door made us both jump. It was Marcus, Margaret's ex. I've been trying to find the right time to tell you this, he said, settling into a chair. Margaret's been planning this for months. She never wanted the divorce. This whole thing, getting close to your family, playing the victim, it's all been a scheme to get back into the Anderson fortune. The Anderson fortune might not exist much longer. Megan interjected, pulling up more documents. Mark has been embezzling from Amanda's family trust. Millions transferred to offshore accounts, and guess who's been helping him? Rachel. Her signature is all over the paperwork. My sister-in-law wasn't just a spy, she was neck-deep in the fraud. The property sale in Dubai, Marcus added. That was their big play. They convinced Amanda to invest her entire trust fund. I had been recording everything, every gaslighting conversation, every manipulation. Hidden cameras in the living room caught Mark and Margaret's secret meetings. My phone recorded Amanda's veiled threats. You're just confused, Pamela. Maybe you need to see someone about these paranoid delusions. And then Mark's voice played back from another recording. We need to get you out first, Megan insisted. I've already contacted my bank. We can move your assets to new accounts they can't access. That night, I quietly packed a go bag while Mark was at yet another business meeting. The hidden camera in our bedroom had caught him and Margaret there just last week. Everything's ready, I whispered to Megan on the phone. The cameras are set up in every room. I've backed up all the evidence to secure servers. The FBI is very interested in those real estate schemes, she replied. And the IRS has some questions about those offshore accounts. I acted normal at dinner with Amanda, who was as condescending as ever. These headaches must be so hard for you, Margaret, she cooed across the table. Thank goodness Mark is here to help. Of course, Mother. Pamela understands, don't you? Rachel smirked. I smiled back, thinking about the evidence I had of her forged signatures on trust documents. Absolutely. Family comes first, right? Later, I overheard Mark on the phone. Everything's set for the Dubai transfer once Mom signs those papers tomorrow. I slipped away to text Megan. It's time. Set everything in motion. They thought they had the perfect plan. The manipulative ex-wife, the controlling mother, the two-faced sister, and my fraud of a husband. But their house of cards was about to collapse, and I would be there to watch it burn. The next morning, I stood up in the middle of Amanda's meticulously planned family brunch. I've called this family meeting because I have something important to share. I stood at the head of Amanda's grand mahogany dining table, my hands steady for the first time in months. The whole family was there. Mark, Margaret, Amanda, and Rachel, all wearing their usual smug expressions. First, let me congratulate you, Margaret, on your 10-year wedding anniversary. I began, my voice steady and clear. I clicked a button, and their actual marriage certificate appeared on the projector screen behind me. Still legally married to Mark. I see. That's ridiculous, Mark started, his face flushing. Save it. I cut him off. Here's your attempted divorce filing, never completed, never filed. Which means our marriage, Mark? Completely invalid. Bigamy is still a crime in Illinois. Margaret's face went pale, and Amanda clutched her pearls, her eyes wide with shock. This is absurd, Amanda sputtered. Oh, I'm just getting started, I said, turning to face her. Let's talk about the Dubai investment. Another click showed a series of bank statements on the screen. Your entire family trust funneled through shell companies. Want to guess where the money really went? Mark would never. Amanda tried to defend, her voice cracking. Show them, Marcus, I called out. Marcus stepped into the room carrying a stack of files, full documentation of the fraud scheme. Margaret's signature is all over everything. She never stopped being involved in the business, did she? I turned to Rachel, my sister-in-law. And you, Rachel? Those forged signatures on the trust documents? The IRS is very interested in those. You can't prove, Rachel started, but I cut her off by pressing play on the security footage. The room filled with the sound of Rachel and Mark discussing the fraud in explicit detail, followed by Victoria admitting to the marriage scam. Amanda's own daughter stealing from her accounts. The FBI is outside, I announced as sirens wailed in the distance. They're very interested in your real estate schemes, Mark. And the IRS is too. Pamela, honey, we can work this out, Mark said, trying to approach me. Like you worked out stealing my identity for business loans? That's federal fraud, by the way. Everything happened fast after that. The FBI stormed in, handcuffing Mark and Margaret. Rachel broke down, confessing on the spot, while Amanda fainted as soon as she saw the real numbers showing her emptied accounts. 1 year later, I'm sipping champagne in my newly expanded design studio. My company, Phoenix Designs, just landed a contract with the Ritz-Carlton chain. The irony? I'm redesigning the same hotels Mark lost in the fraud investigation. Mark is now serving 15 years for multiple fraud charges. Margaret is facing separate charges for bigamy and investment fraud. Their mugshots made quite a splash in the society pages. Rachel lost her job at the investment firm and was barred from the industry. Last I heard, she's working retail. Amanda? She had to sell her mansion after losing everything to Mark's schemes. Now she's living in a modest condo, a far cry from her previous luxury lifestyle. As for me, I just made Forbes' 40 Under 40 list. My story of surviving fraud and building a successful business caught Hollywood's attention, and there's even talk of a movie deal. Sometimes I drive past Amanda's old mansion, now owned by a tech billionaire who hired me to redesign it. I think about that day I served tea while Margaret wore my wedding dress. They thought they were breaking me. Instead, they made me unstoppable. The best revenge isn't just success. It's watching karma deliver the justice they never thought would come. What would you have done if you caught your spouse's ex wearing your wedding dress? Would you have walked away quietly like I initially did, or confronted them immediately? And do you think I was right to gather evidence first, or should I have exposed their schemes sooner?